Bonjour tout le monde, je m'appelle Tito, je fais des vidéos sur les finances personnelles sur mon autre chaîne, mais sur cette chaîne je parle d'autres choses comme aujourd'hui, où je vais revoir le film The Art of Letting Go. Now guys, this is going to be a bit of a quick and easy review because this movie, The Art of Letting Go, is on YouTube, and as many of you know, YouTube is a different world, right? And I personally think you can't really hold Nollywood films on YouTube to the same standard as you hold Nollywood films in the cinema. That's just my personal opinion. Also, there will be spoilers in this review because this movie is on YouTube. If you want to watch it, then maybe just go and watch it. It's less than 90 minutes and then come back for the review. All that said, let's dive into it, beginning with Le Performance. Okay, so Bolaji Ogummola, who happens to be the producer and executive producer of this movie, and the movie is actually on her YouTube channel called BOLAJI OGUNMOLA TV. She plays Saleema. So she's this young woman who is open to love, and she comes across or runs into this talented artist, and she falls for him. I was going to say they fall for each other, but no, it's a one-way transaction, a one-way thing. She falls for the guy, but he's no good. Saleema was, in my opinion, and I'll come to Bolajis Performance, but let me talk about Saleema. Saleema, I think, was relatable, and I think that's what they were going for, because I think all of us know at least one woman who's been in Saleema's shoes, a woman who has fallen for a guy that she should not have fallen for. And she goes into the whole thing very naive and very hopeful, but gets her fingers burnt. And Bolaji did a very good job delivering that character and communicating all those things. You know, there are lots of tears in the performance and in the movie, and it was understandable. I mean, she knew the assignment, this is her film anyway, and she did a good job delivering that character. Now, I think the issue, because I've talked to a few people who have seen the movie, right? It came out just, what, 2 days ago? But I've talked to a couple of people who've seen the movie, and I think they're comparing Bolaji's performance in this film to Bolaji's awesome performances in other films. And I think that's the mistake. If you just see this film as a standalone and not compare it to Bolaji's other films, I think you'll be all right. But Bolaji is such a talented actress, and I think people were looking at this film or expecting this film to be one of those where she showcases her various talents, but I don't think it was necessarily required in this particular film. Let's move on. Eso Dike. Eso plays Jabari da Silva, the bad boy. He's an artist, he's edgy, he seems to be emotionally unattached or emotionally unavailable, and not very self-aware, or maybe very self-aware, judging by how he plays women. But he's a player, and he doesn't really have much regard for other people's feelings and all that, particularly women. And Eso did a good job communicating that with the performance. My only issue with Jabari da Silva was that he was very robotic, very stiff. You know, I feel like they could have done more in terms of creating that character to make him a bit more personable, for us to understand why he was such a narcissist and such an ass. However, if they had done that, then maybe it would have humanized the character, and maybe they didn't want that to happen, because if they humanized Jabari, we wouldn't have hated him as much as we actually did, and I think it was necessary for us to hate the guy. But yeah, I think they could have done a bit more with the character. Eso as an artist, because he's literally an artist in this film, I was trying to get on board. I was trying to see Eso as an artist, right? As somebody who paints beautiful pictures and sells them. I don't know if I was really buying it. They didn't focus on that much, but I think they could have done with that. They could have done that, just showing him being a bit more professional with his art and just doing things that artists actually really do, getting their fingers, you know, covered in paint and all those little things. But instead, they chose to focus more on the toxic relationship that Jabari had with Saleema. Anyway, moving on to Charles Bourne, who plays Demi, Saleema's colleague in the office, who is pining for Saleema, but Saleema doesn't pay him any attention because Saleema is in her bad boy phase. She's into bad boys, and guys like Jabari, she's not looking in the direction of good boys like Demi. That's another character that they could have done more with. There was nothing about Demi per se that would make us, the viewers, like root for him, you know? Yes, he was the opposite of Jabari, but they could have done more to make him endearing. The only thing they did to make him look like a nice guy was that they made him like look out for Saleema in the office. He was covering for her and just making sure she was all right. But I think they could have done more to make him the candidate that we, the audience or the viewers, were rooting for. Regardless, Charles' performance was okay. They could have done more with it. I don't know if I would have cast Charles in that role, but hey, given the circumstances, I guess he did well. Ce que j'ai aimé. The production design of this film was actually really good for a YouTube movie. I liked how, things looked in the film. Speaking of that, I liked the sets and the set design, particularly of the living spaces. Things were so colorful, so that was really good. I liked what they did with Eso's, Jabari's apartment. That was good, and even Saleema's apartment too. It's just the office that, the boss's office too was actually good. Saleema's boss, her office looked really nice. I saw a YouTube plaque in the background and that looked weird. But essentially the sets were good. I loved the colors, like I said. Speaking of colors, the wardrobe and styling was also really good. Bolaji's outfits were really good. Eso, they really characterized him, or his character, Jabari, by the way he dressed with, the kimonos and the colorful outfits and, the painted nails and the rings and everything. I think they gave him this boho, semi-goth look, and it worked. So yes, they really tried to pass the message of who that character was by how he dressed and how he was styled. The only styling issue I had was with Charles's character, Demi. The way he was styled didn't really say much about that particular character, and I really didn't like how the top two buttons of his shirt were always open, I like that this film was relatable. Yes, because we all, like I said earlier, we all know, not just women, but also men who have gotten in a relationship with someone of the opposite sex, and, us third parties, or those of us looking from the outside, are like, this can't work, this is a bad decision, this person isn't good for you, but they still go in full steam ahead. So, and some of us, including some of you watching, have been the ones in situations like that, where you were the one going after somebody that you shouldn't have been going after. So essentially, the story was quite relatable, and I liked the message of the film, because at the end of the movie, there's a message, and it was something like along the lines of red flags never turn green, right? When you see a red flag, well, you can dispute that actually, you can argue that statement, because sometimes people change. They rarely do, but sometimes they do. But I like the message, which was essentially, look, if someone shows you who they are, believe them. And if they tell you to, because Jabari told Saleema multiple times who he was and how he wasn't in looking for anything serious, but she was quite foolish about the entire situation, and it ended in tears. And I like what she said at the end of the film when Demi asked her out, and she says, look, now is not a good time, maybe in 2 or 3 months when she's gotten herself together and gotten over what she's just been through. I liked that. And that brings me to the last thing I liked about this film, which was there are some one-liners in the film and some quotes in the film. One that really hit home with me, or one that I really liked, was, how can you be so smart and so stupid at the same time? I think that's a line that Saleema's bestie told her when Saleema was complaining about Jabari, and she kept on going back to him. Ce que je n'ai pas aimé. I think they could have done more with character development in this film. Character development is not such a requirement with YouTube movies, Nollywood films on YouTube, because people just want to watch. It's like fast food, just in and out, right? But I still feel like they could have done a bit more for us to understand the backgrounds of these characters, some of these characters, and also, where they're aspiring to go in the future. Like Saleema, it would have been nice to know a little bit more about her. Also, Demi, played by Charles Bourne, to know a little bit about him so that we can root for him, to win Saleema over. Next, Eso Dike and him playing Jabari, the artist, right? I feel, and I think I mentioned it earlier, that they could have done more to make him look like a convincing artist, with maybe paint on his hands, or him talking about the art industry in Nigeria or in Lagos, things to make us really buy into the idea of Eso playing an artist. I think that ties back to the character development that I mentioned earlier. Finally, the lighting. See, the lighting generally in the film was good, but I think they went a bit overboard with the yellow and teal lighting that features in the film a few times. So yeah, it felt like a bit much. Also, there are times when men came to Saleema's house, to take her out on a date, and it was nighttime, and when they opened the door, you see from behind them that it's nighttime, but from the windows, there's bright lights coming in, which kind of makes you think that it's daytime, so that felt like a bit of a contrast. Qui devrait le voir? If you're into YouTube films, Nollywood films on YouTube that is, then I think you'll enjoy this one. It's very to the point, it's a quick watch, it's an easy watch, and like I said, there's a strong message behind it and it's very relatable, Even up to the point where Jabari comes to Saleema's house, he walks in and he goes upstairs and Saleema goes upstairs with him to try and, castigate him and say, what are you doing here? What are you doing? And they end up making love. Even that is a bit relatable because, believe it or not, there have been stories of guys who have carried women that they're interested in to somewhere that they want to go, not knowing that this place where they want to go is another man's house. And sometimes they wait in the car while the girl that they like is in, the other man's house getting nailed to the wall. I digress. Where was I? Yeah, so the film was relatable. Women can be scum and they can really neglect and overlook the good guy and the guy who means well and blindly follow the bad boy. And I like that they hammered on that message severally. You see it play out in this film, how this woman who, wants something pure, something real, is trying to find this pure and real thing with the wrongest person, the person who, that's the last thing that he wants. It happens in real life all the time. So I like how this film delivered that message that, look, don't bother. When you see a red flag, when you see somebody who doesn't want what you want, don't think that you can change them. Leave them alone. It will be hard, it will be tough, but leave them alone and go your own way and look for the actual person who wants what you want. So yeah, so based on that, this movie was actually an enjoyable watch for me because I do like a film with a good, strong message, and I'm all about people making wise life choices that they won't regret in future. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this review, like the video by clicking on the like button and subscribe to the channel by clicking on the black subscribe button. Now, if you've seen the movie, The Art of Letting Go, let me know what you thought about the movie in the comment section down below. Yeah, subscribe to the channel. Check out some of my other reviews by clicking the card in the corner of the screen. I've reviewed a bunch of other Nollywood things. They don't come to mind right now. I will not be rating this movie because, like I said, it's just a light watch and it's hard to put Nollywood films on YouTube on the same scale as Nollywood films on the series, the big streaming platforms, Prime and Netflix. So I will not be rating The Art of Letting Go. But please let me know in the comment section what you thought about the film, and if I've convinced you to watch the film, and if you have 90 minutes to spare and you haven't seen it yet, then head over to Bolaji Ogumola's YouTube channel to check out The Art of Letting Go. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I enjoyed doing it. This was fun. I will catch you in the next one. Take care.